I'm not gonna lie, Cover Killer Nation. I had already made a video for this, and it was one in which I didn't even listen to the album. It was one where basically I knew in advance that this was probably going to suck. However, I feel that after I, made the video and rewatched it and kind of saw my generalized thoughts of an album series, essentially, that has now been a fixture, a part of the Cover Killer Nation channel ever since its beginning, I start to rethink my motion. I started to rethink my whole position on it. I started to think, you know what? This is one where I've been doing all of these one by one as they've come out. I might as well do this one too. And plus, considering the spirit of the season that's upon us, considering we're already into those shopping days before Christmas, how fitting is it? How fitting is it that we're going to talk about an album called Punk Goes Christmas. Now this is, as you would think, this is part of the Punk Goes Pop, Punk Goes Metal, Punk Goes Crunk, Punk Goes Retarded series that I have covered at least one album a year from ever since the inception of this channel. So yes, ever since the year 2010, I have been talking about these albums, and each and every time, each and every single time, there has been a problem. There have been minute locations in these videos where I've offered praise. But this is a Christmas album. This is something that's all about the spirit of the season. This is something all about conveying the message that Christmas is upon us and that it's a time for giving. It's not a time for receiving. It's not a time for being a selfish, angry fuck. It's time to be nice to people. So I should really try to be nice to this album, right? Well, let's try it. 12 tracks in length from 12 different bands, and there is actually a smorgasbord here of original songs such as Fool's Holiday, I Had a Heart, and Nothing for Christmas by bands such as All Time Low, Real Friends, and Newfound Glory. But then we also have songs such as This Christmas from the summer set. We also have Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from Issues. We have This Christmas, I'll Burn It to the Ground, which is a bit of a original also. And then Do You Hear What I Hear by William Beckett, which is, of course, a traditional number. So at least with this, they at least decided that if they were going to go traditional, it was only the artists that decided to do that. A lot of these artists elected to really write their own material. And you have to really kind of respect that because, let's face it, Christmas songs aren't exactly easy to write. You might think that it is, considering all you have to do is touch on a couple of key different issues and then you're done. But no, think about it. Sit down and try to write a really, really good Christmas song. I don't mean some corny-ass piece of shit where you're just saying, Christmas time is when I get presents, so give me a pony. If you think that I'm a brony, then I will kill you. Santa Claus is a man who has rosy cheeks. 8 reindeer, one with a red nose, I'm pretty sure that's cancer. See? That was awful. That was terrible. Worst Christmas song ever. So now try to write an actual good Christmas song. It takes some time. It takes some effort. So these guys doing that, obviously it's a technological marvel that they were able to accomplish that in 2013. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. The angry voice is already coming out. It's hard for me to do this because of one issue that just continues to plague this entire series, something I mentioned in the video that will remain unreleased, and something that I must speak right now. These are not punk bands. The whole Punk Goes blank endeavor has been flawed from the very beginning. And I've mentioned this in every video and nothing has been done about it. Not a single thing. Now people have told me, people have explained to me, these are all artists that have been called in under the guise of a certain record studio or this or that. There have been different reasons for this. And also I've gotten the arguments that this is what punk is today. The punk that you're perhaps talking about with bands such as the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and hell, even early Green Day, that punk is dead. That punk is gone. If that punk is anywhere, it's deep in the underground, festering on itself, and basically doesn't want to be up here where the big boys are. And while all of those arguments may be well and good, here's the thing. It wouldn't even be pop punk. Half of this stuff doesn't even classify as pop punk. Half of it is just pop. So call it Pop Goes Christmas. Now I understand there. Second argument. Whenever people think of Pop Goes Christmas, they think of Britney Spears. They think of Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, One Direction, Justin Bieber, Beyonce Knowles, and all the other parade of fuckwits that are on that side of the spectrum. We need something to identify us from the crowd. And punk is what we are because pop punk is traditionally in our name, and that's what a lot of people call us, and we're on the Warped Tour, which is a punk tour. We're punk. Fuck you, Cover Killer Nation. We're punk. Eat a dick and choke on it. Okay, once again, I understand your argument. I understand that whenever people think of pop, they think of all those little dancey clown fucks that decide to wear a bunch of makeup and like to sing about everything from sex to religion as though they know everything about it. I got it. I know that people decide that they're born this way, and then they're going to die this way, and that they're over their exes, and that they need more love. They want to have more people love them, but love them for them, not because they just want, a little bit of action in their life. Instead, we need something to clearly identify ourselves, and pop punk it is, but instead for this album, it's just going to be called Punk Goes Christmas. Not Pop Punk Goes Christmas, not really punk, but kind of Punk Goes Christmas, just Punk Goes Christmas. That identifier right there will always bog me down. Always. So, then we get to the actual music. The actual music itself is definitely not identifiable with the whole punk guys, considering the Summer set and the Ready set, two songs that have the word set in it, and both of the songs in their set, they sound just like those little pop princesses. They sound just like those little pop guys. It sounds like they just decided, hey, you know that thing that Owl City did? That sounded pretty damn good. We're going to do it too, and we're going to make it a Christmas song. And that's what they did, pretty much. William Beckett tried his best with Do You Hear What I Hear, but at the same time, after 12 tracks of this poop, yeah, this is track number 12, you just want the son of a bitch to be over. You could give less of a shit whether or not William Beckett gave it his all, whether or not William Beckett just sucked it up, or whether or not he just farted the whole entire song. Do you hear what I hear? That's the sound of anus. And the anus sound is also present on just about every other track on this album. Now, I have to give bands like Newfound Glory and All Time Low a little bit of credit, principally because these guys are from the older school of thought and philosophy, of this little kind of idea of music. So really, whenever it comes to the whole pop-punk idea, whenever it comes to the whole punk idea, these guys have a little bit more in common with that, considering they've been around for a while, and they've really been able to perpetuate a certain level of intensity, not to mention a certain level of attitude in their music. And these two tracks, I gotta say, I mean, they're not great by any stretch of the imagination, but Nothing for Christmas and Fool's Holiday, I'll actually give them a bit of a pass, principally on the fact that these two are pretty well done. I had a Heart by Real Friends I could care less about halfway through. Whenever we got the Father Christmas by Man Overboard, I wanted to shoot myself. And as we continue on to Crown the Empire, and then There Will Be No Christmas, it was just kind of a pathetic attempt. And then we get the Yellow Card. Yellow Card's kind of a curious case for me. Yellow Card is one of these bands that have always kind of just been on the fringe there. It's like they want to have that attitude, but at the same time, they kind of want to stay with what's kind of in the now. So they kind of adapt themselves a little bit, but they do so pretty well. And that's the reason why they broke through, and they're a very widely recognized band. That and a couple of key singles. But Christmas Lights, it was just kind of an okay endeavor. But then we get to Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by Issues. And we get to my second principal bane of the Punk Goes Blah series. You do not, and I repeat, you do not need to growl and try to make this, pop punk core or whatever, emo core at all. Period. Period, ... ellipsis. Don't need to do it. It doesn't need to happen. It doesn't need to be present. I'm literally choking up because this is so terrible. And this is something that happens in this track, and it ruins it. It really does. Not that this track really had that much going for it to begin with, but that is really something that bogs it down because it just completely destroys that whole entire mojo and idea that this is punk. It really isn't. It isn't at all. Nope. No. You're trying to post-border a little bit more on the hardcore side, and it's not working. I can really understand why I have never seen one of your albums in my store, and I hope I never do. Jason Lancaster, all I can give you is another softer number. These are the ones, I gotta say, the softer parts, the softer numbers, that really actually attempt to convey a little bit of spirit of the season. Not to say that all Christmas music has to be soft and fluttery and nice and, Michael Bublé. I love Michael Bublé, but really, not everything needs to be Michael Bublé. But, Mr. Lancaster, these are all numbers that demand a little bit of reverence, and you definitely gave it some of that, but it just kind of fell a little bit flat, kind of fell on deaf ears. I guess my main problem with a lot of this is that I've heard a lot of originals handled a lot better by a lot worst musicians, at least in my opinion. Hell, there's a Barbra Streisand song where she just says, jingle, 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 jingle bells. And I would probably take that over this. And she's some big-nosed bitch. Set it off this Christmas, I'll burn it to the ground. Cool little concept. I kind of dig this a little bit, only because they kind of take the idea of a Christmas song and kind of try to make it a little humorous, you know, give it a little bit of an edge. And I appreciate whenever bands attempt this. It's not something that always really works. But to be fair, Set It Off, they did the best. They did their best. So I'm actually going to give this one a bit of a pass, even though I find it a bit corny at times. But I find a lot of things corny, and I still really like them. So there you go. And then, see, I already forgot about William Beckett. Track 12. I already forgot about him. He tried, but no. Now this is the part where I have to get really, really mad and really, really angry. If you don't like it whenever I get really, really mad or really, really angry, you can cut off the video right now and go ahead and leave your angry comment about how I'm immature. As far as Christmas albums goes, this is probably one of the damn worst I've ever heard. And I've heard some pretty terrible shit. People say to me that are younger than me, well, how can you listen to Frank Sinatra? That's fucking old garbage. He just goes... That's fucking classic. That's what Christmas was about. That's what Christmases have been about now for the past 60 years. And I'm not saying that I'm a traditionalist by any stretch of the imagination. I do have a respect for tradition, but at the same time, this is a tradition that will not fucking continue. This is something that will not be stood for, not to mention this is something that will not be copied. It will not be emanated. This will certainly be the only one of such in existence until or unless they make Punk Goes Christmas Volume 2, which I pray that they don't do, because if they do that, then I will have to review it, and I'll have to do this whole shit all over again, and it's gonna feel like fucking deja vu. This is an album that purely and simply should be regarded as a joke. Some of these songs are not supposed to be a joke. Some of these songs are actually pretty damn serious. They're actually trying their damn best. And you really, that's the thing. I respect any musician that tries. I'm being critical because that's my job. That's what I do. I'm a critical individual. I'm not necessarily saying, you who wrote this song, you all suck. Please go walk off a cliff and then explode into a fiery pit of rage. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. And that sentence and that, ending to a life didn't even make any sense because they're still alive. But it's just one of these things where this needs to be tackled in a different format, or at least be granted a different title. This is a series that needs a little bit of an overhaul as far as the titling process is concerned. Not to mention, there needs to be a little bit of self-examination as to what this music truly and actually is. Pop punk is not something that really is working anymore. I really think that we need an actual, subgenre for this garbage. And I really don't have that idea. Someone else is going to have to do that. So yeah, Punk Goes Christmas, just like all the other Punk Goes whatever albums. Don't get it. You don't want it. I don't want it. Nobody wants it. I didn't even want to listen to this, but I did. And that's punishment enough. And because I made this review, I'm going to get a whole shitload of coal in my stocking. But that's fine. I'm hoping to power my house by myself anyways. So, fuck y'all. Merry Christmas.